My name is Andre Powell, and I am representing the People's Power Assembly in Baltimore and Socialist Unity Party nationally. The United States and the Pentagon continues its policy of brutal sanctions in an effort to control and destroy sovereign nations. The majority of sanctioned countries represent the oppressed world, whether former colonies fighting for their independence, those who are building socialism, or those still battling against imperialism. After the end of World War II, the United States and its Western European allies began competition among each other to gain control over the countries of South America, Africa, and Asia. Liberation struggles broke out as they tried to break free from decades of colonialism. The struggle for true independence was still out of reach for those countries as US and European powers were able to assert neocolonial control over every aspect of life. In other words, they were independent in name only. Western European powers and the US colluded with each other as they chose those who would head the new government of each country. If a particular leader would not do their master's bidding, they were removed from power, many by covert means or direct murder, only to be replaced by another puppet. Additional methods of control included the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, whose financial assistance is often tied to the implementation of austerity measures. Currently, the US has imposed sanctions against 39 countries around the world. The strongest sanctions are against the countries of Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Cuba, Iran, Venezuela, and Zimbabwe, China, and Nicaragua. On the African continent, the US has imposed sanctions on Sudan, Burundi, Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Libya, Mauritania, Somalia, and South Sudan, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Rwanda, and Yemen, in addition to Zimbabwe, a total of 14 countries. These sanctions are an act of war, just as if the US was dropping bombs. All of these countries have a right to their own self-determination and national sovereignty. The People's Power Assembly and the Socialist Unity Party stands in solidarity with these countries as they fight against US imperialism and its allies. At this time, here in the US, another war rages against oppressed people and workers within our own borders. This war in the working class is waged by bankers, billionaires, courts, police, and other state apparatus of the capitalist system. The coronavirus pandemic shows how ineffective capitalism is in providing for the people during a major health crisis. They ignored the early warnings from the World Health Organization. They made no plans to prevent the spread and instead let it fester until the death toll climbed to numbers where it just could not be ignored. Now they put forth a feeble attempt to implement measures to prevent the further spread. They try to appease the country by buying us off with a measly emergency check, while once again giving away billions of dollars to big business. The failure to manufacture personal protective equipment has resulted in the deaths of so many healthcare workers, just as the lack of ventilators has resulted in many patients dying in ICU units. Initially, it was kept hidden from the news media and public that Black and brown people were dying in disproportionately higher numbers. The nation's prison population, which is 80% Black, are sitting ducks trapped in what are literal death camps. Likewise, the same can be said about immigrant detention camps. While we fight for our lives on one front, the fight against police terror and white supremacy continues. The Ahmaud Arbery case, reminiscent of the murder of Trayvon Martin, has illustrated that racist violence is deeply embedded in the system. Unity against the capitalist onslaught of sanctions against the countries of Africa will lead to the ultimate victory of their right to self-determination that is free from imperialist control. That same unity will beat back the racist atrocities in this country, whether it is from the barrel of a gun or institutionalized in written policies of the government. The People's Power Assembly and the Socialist Unity Party support the demands of African Liberation Day for both the continent and here in the US. Solidarity is the key to people's victory. Thank you.